If you're a member of the middle class, the Fed calculated your pain today. It figured out exactly what this recession has cost your family. And trust me, it's a lot. The Federal Reserve puts out a survey of consumer finances every 3 years. We should probably issue a warning. This is ugly. The Fed says the net worth of the average American family plunged almost 39% from 2007 to 2010. Here's another way to look at it. The average family's net worth dropped from more than $126,000 to less than $78,000. As bad as that is, you need to remember two things. This study covers 3 years. 2.5 of them were under the Bush administration. And the reason the recession is worse for the middle class than for the wealthy is because of this: the housing crisis. The net worth of a middle class family is basically the value of their house. The wealthiest Americans have a variety of assets, like stocks or airplanes or 6 houses like Mitt Romney does. But when the market went belly up, the middle class took the hit on the only asset they had: their homes. This should be an everybody out of the pool moment for the Republican Party. They should be scrambling to help the American people, right? And economists don't disagree on what we should do.
We need to work together. This is not about one side being better than the other. This is not calculus. It's just math.
Simple. Just pass bipartisan bills on home refinancing, education, taxes, and stimulus. The legislation is ready and waiting. Instead, this is what we got today.
The president doesn't understand how his policies have made things so hard for the American people. It's finally time to have a president who's in touch with what's happening in America, and I am, and I'll bring back America's strength.
Let's turn to Robert Reich, former Secretary of Labor under President Clinton, now a professor of public policy at UC Berkeley, and the author of the book Beyond Outrage. You got to have enough outrage here, Secretary Reich, for this deplorable and utterly vapid comment by Mr. Romney. What caused this net negative for average Americans?
Well, look, we now have a Federal Reserve, a survey, a report that makes it absolutely clear that when the bottom fell out of the economy, starting in 2007, it hit the middle class especially hard. As you said, Michael, housing prices have fallen by a third on average, and most of the middle class has almost all of its assets in its homes. I mean, the middle class, they may have a 401k, they may have a little bit of a pension fund, a little savings in the stock market, but most of their savings, most of their assets are in their home, and with home values a third less than they were in 2006, 2007, obviously the middle class is squeezed. That same report, by the way, also shows that the median wage since 2007 has dropped over 7%. That's the median. That's people who are right there in the middle, half of above, half below. And that also explains why this recovery has been so anemic. People don't have money in their pockets. They feel poor. They're worried, obviously, how Republicans can continue to claim that the rich need more tax breaks, or that the problem is government regulation, or that corporations need more tax breaks, when the Federal Reserve Board puts out a survey like this, making it absolutely clear what has happened. The crisis is a crisis of the middle class. I don't get it.
Yeah, well, neither do I. Because the Fed survey shows most Americans are actually cutting down on consumer debt and getting loans to go back to school. So what does the average Joe really need to do here?
Well, the average people, what do they need? They need help. 1 out of 4 or 5 people with mortgages are still underwater. They need help with mortgage refinancing. And number 2, they need help with school. They want to get ahead. If they're not in a job or they're working part-time, they need help with financing school. These are not handouts. These are helping hands. They also need, we're talking about, nobody's talking about a big major stimulus right now, but we do need right now roads, bridges, a kind of WPA, a civilian conservation corps for the long-term unemployed. I mean, we did this even in the 1930s. When at the depths of the Depression, we tried it, and it actually worked until 1937, when we did just the reverse, and a lot of Republicans wanted us to do it, and that is pull in the reins, stop spending, cut the budget deficit. That's not what you do right now.
Well, yeah, you've named some of the legislation that worked in the past. Give us a sense, how do we conclude anything except that the Republicans are so deeply mired in their own wealth belt that they can't see beyond the girth that they've been able to manage here and see the regular situation of average Americans? I mean, are they that tone deaf to what's going on with the rest of the middle class?
They are mired in their own ideology. They're also mired in what Mitch McConnell claimed several years ago, and that is their number one goal is to get, Barack Obama out of the White House. And thirdly, they are telling big lies. They tell those big lies over and over again. They tell them on every media outlet they possibly can. They have an extraordinary war chest right now, and those big lies are, again, corporations need tax cuts, the rich need tax cuts, trickle-down economics works, and nothing that Obama wants to do and nothing that common sense dictates we do right now is necessary.
Yeah, well, that George Gilder trickle-down economy didn't work then and it ain't working now. Corporations had record profits last year. How does that square with the report we got today?
Well, corporations, not only are they sitting on record profits, now the stock market is down, but corporations are still doing very, very well. They have between $1 and $2 trillion of cash they are sitting on, Michael. I mean, the idea that they need more money or more tax relief or more regulatory relief, as the Republicans put it, in order to create jobs is laughable. Jobs are created by the middle class because when the middle class has enough money in their pockets to spend, that's when businesses say, yes, now we have to expand. Now we have to hire more people. But it's not until the middle class has enough money to spend that we get that response from the private sector. And anybody who says any differently just doesn't know anything about the economy.
As usual, thank you for that fire and focus. Robert Reich, thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much.
Mitt Romney is standing his ground in the debate over the need for more teachers and other public service workers. Howard Fineman and Richard Wolff will join me later. And the KKK in Georgia is trying to clean up their image by cleaning up roads. They want to join the state's Adopt a Highway program. You won't believe what I have to say about this stunt. Stay tuned.